Hello everyone. Today we will start object-oriented programming and we will cover the concepts of object-oriented programming uh, in Java. So today we'll discuss what are the features of the object-oriented programming, what are the total concepts comes under the object-oriented programming, and how it is going to work in real time. We will take care of this in this session. So let's make the agenda what we are going to cover in the object-oriented. So in OOPS, first of all, take the name. OOPS. In this total, I think 7 features are there. 7 concepts are there, not the features. First of all, classes, objects, encapsulation, fourth one is inheritance, fifth one is data hiding, sixth one is the overriding and overloading, and seventh one is basically polymorphism. Not it comes under the overloading and overriding. You can take the constructor also, which comes under classes basically. तो जावा में टोटल 7 कंसेप्ट्स हैं जो हम आज इस सेशन में कवर अप करेंगे. So now we will go ahead with the classes and objects in Java, and oops also we can say. So let's take the real-time example. What is basically classes in Java? So in Java, class, that is nothing but we can say it is a blueprint of object, we can say like that, and it is also called as in real time. Let's take the example of classes in real time. What do you mean by classes in Java, right? So I'm taking example, so that's why I'm waiting for that. So now takes the example of real time first, which is comes like suppose we have a car, right? So we can define the car as a class, and in this car, lot of car thing is comes like suppose we are taking some of the car name of the car which are going to comes under the car class basically. So whatever the designing and blueprint and whatever the map kind of things we are providing for that map is nothing but the in blueprint and map both are similar if you're talking about that naksha kind of things in the Hindi. So dhacha we can say. So here we are taking example for the cars. There is some car like suppose when whoever designing the car, it will be first design the blueprint of the car, right? And blueprint is nothing but your definition of the class only. And whenever we are going to creating the class object of that class, like suppose in real time if you're saying uh see this one is a car, right? And we can say take the example this car has been like some of the diagram. I don't perfect in the pictorial things. So let's suppose this is a car, right? In this, so for that whoever the making this pictorial view of that car, that is a kind comes under the blueprint basically. So it uh, basically this is a blueprint, right? For that suppose and in like suppose we are writing some of the classes, right? Class car. So inside that body, whatever the bodies we have for the car, we are going to making some definitions, attributes for the car, gear, clutches, these all things. So this is the basically examples for the car and how it is going to interacting with the real time, this example. So this is the basically definition of car. And once you are going to creating the object of data car, this is the basically features, definitions. We are going to create an object of that class. So this is called as the object concept for the Java. So like see, so this class is basically we are defining that class as a blueprint basically. So in Java language, how we are defining any class and the blueprints, this is basically this one only, right? Lot of examples in the market, we can take anyone. I'm comfortable with this, so I'm preferring this one only. So this one is the basically in Java context, we are saying this is the blueprint of class, right? And what in in Java only. But suppose let's take the example. This is the example of we can say the car, right? Design basically we can say. So a lot of things in the car blueprint. So it is interacting with the real time basically. So how you have to take the example of the things you have to interact in the real time, what you are considered as a class and how you are going to map the things with the programming language basically we can say in the programming how you are going to map the things. right? So we have to also nomenclate their blueprint, real-time example. So what are the concepts with that class and objects? So let's take the example for that. What we can cover, how we are defining classes, how we are, what are the rules to define the classes in the Java. We will take care of that only. So if you say, like, suppose we can take the another example also in the real time. So let's say for this one is the related to the car, and so now we are taking the example of person, how we are interacting with the person first. Like suppose we have a person class, right? And that person, I'm in real time person, that is nothing but human beings we can consider, that comes under the class. So we are just defining the human beings as a class in the Java, and some of the attributes, that is the data members we can say. So this is a part of class only. Methods, that is nothing but behavior, so it is also considered under the classes. So this is the attributes and behaviors which we are defining in the classes. So this is the few examples for the Java, in the Java for the classes and objects. So what are the key attributes we have to define? Some points are there I'm going to write. First of all, let's take the example for the class, right? In Java, we cannot declare a top level class as a private. Like suppose first point is we cannot define or declare a top level classes as private. So which kind of specifiers are the Java allowed to, you can define at the class level? So first one is basically public and default. Public and default modifiers, sorry, specifiers or modifiers we can say, modifiers for top level classes. So two things is there. We cannot declare a top level classes as private, and we can define with this specifier as a top level classes, which is public and default one, right? So inside the classes, we can also declare the three kind of variables inside the classes basically, like local variables, instance variable, and static members, that is static variable. So we can also take it as a point. We can include any three type of variables set where I wrote it. Okay, let's write it again. We can define or include any type of variables. That is the three variables, not the any type of variables, in any type of the three variables in the classes, which is Java. First one is basically local variable. Second one is basically the instance one, which is belongs to the object instance variable, instance variable. And static variable. So these variables we can include inside the classes. These are three which are allowed in the Java to we have declared at the class level. They can be only on the public class in a single program, and its name should be same as the name of the Java file. There can be more than one non-public classes in a single Java file, right? It means that in your wherever you are writing a program, like suppose take the example of Notepad. So your class should be defined as a public class, only one class, and this name should be make as a whatever you are given the class name, that name should be given to the file also in with the .java extension, right? This is the basically way we are defining the classes in the Java. There can be more than one non-public classes in a Java in single Java file, so we can define based on the our requirement. We will take care of that example also. As of now, we can pointing to the what are the points comes under the classes basically. Whenever we are defining a public to the class level, it is basically visible to all the classes in the Java. In the Java means in the projects or packages, where we are defining the packages, package name, which is nothing but the first statement of the Java program which we are taking. A class with default access is visible only to the classes within the same package, right? So we can take whenever you are defining public, so how many packages you are defining inside the classes, based on that it is visible to all over the project, right? And when you're defining the default access is visible only through the classes within the same package, right? So we will take the example and we will show in the pictorial view, don't worry. So what it is saying, uh, we can take the notes as a, it is the basically a interview question, we can say. It will be asked if you are a fresher or the 1 year of experience you have, this question will be asked. And this is a very silly question you have to take care at the time of a interview and when you are working in any kind of project. So this is the basic things you have to take care. How you are defining your classes, how you're taking the name of that classes, and that should be to basically interact with the basically projects requirement and whatever the business in your projects that maps your classes maps to the business only. If you are making any project, right, which is your related to the, suppose I am giving some of the example, like suppose you have to make the data uh, one class based on the employee, right? So this is your requirement based on the business and you have to take care of all the attributes of the employee, and based on that you have to define your class. So I have the business is you have to make the uh, program on the employee, right? So here you have to write the example of the classes like the better approach to, you have to take the class name as an employee only. Why? Because it is mapped the business to the classes basically. So that's why we are taking the example of employee classes in a order to business. So this is the way we are mapping the things in Java to business logic, right? So let's take the first point. A lot of things. Only to the within the same package. Uh, Moreover, we can also use the non-access modifier, for the class level, right? So generic level declaration when we are talking about the abstract keyword, final keyword. So if you are taking the example of this one, so this is the non-access modifiers. Uh, Abstract, if you're talking about the abstract keyword, that modifier is used to make the generic level things in the Java. Like suppose things that means the at the class level, if you are whenever you are uh, taking the class as an abstract, it means you are some of the giving the definition of any generic kind of definition you are going to provide in your project. We can say like that. So that means the once you are defined the functionalities inside that abstract, it will be used all over the project, and you cannot implement again and again the things. So that's why we are going ahead with the generic level things with the help of that abstract keyword, right? And the final. So mutable. Why we are defining the final at the class level? Let's take the example with the Java provided with the String classes. String is basically defined as a class level. Final keyword is defined for the string as a class level. C. Public final class string, that is implementing serializable, comparable, and cat sequence. So if you are going inside that class string, let me go inside it. Oh, I think I need to download the things first. So I'm not able to go inside that. I think rt.jar is mapped or not. I don't know. See, here is the description for the string classes. I just want to go inside that string class, which is resides inside the rt.jar, right? So there will be some configuration issue. That's why I'm not able to go inside that class string. So let's take the first read the description what it is. String classes. The string classes represent character strings. All strings literals in Java programs such as ABC are implemented as instance of this class, right? Strings are constant. Their value cannot be changed after they are created. So what are the reason that values cannot change after they are created? That is the example of immutability. String objects are immutable. They cannot be can be saved, but they cannot be changed. Suppose why it is its behavior it has. Like we can say in Hindi basically why strings जो है immutable क्यों है? क्या कारण हो सकता है इसके पीछे? Reason is that the signature of the class is basically public final class. That means whenever you are using the final at the class level, you cannot make any changes once you have created the object. And reason, it is internally using the string constant pool concept. So whatever the objects goes to created with that the literals, it goes to store inside the string constant pool. That is a string constant pool, SCP area basically. So we will take care of that string in the next session. So moving forward with the classes. So some of the basic concepts for the classes we are getting there. We cannot create an object or instance of an object abstract class. Yes, this is right. We, wherever the classes has been declared with the abstract, we are not able to create the abstract class object in Java. So why we are not going to creating able to create the object with the abstract? We will take care. We will mark this question as a interview questions. We will take care of this question in interview session. Don't worry about that. So if you want to break the concept of inheritance, you have to define the class as a final. So this is also covered in the inheritance concept, don't worry. And there is one loopholes we can say, loophole that is suppose we have a class, right? We are defining here class only. Class car, right? Suppose so this is the signature of the car. How we are defining the car in Java. Suppose if you are totally fresher and you don't know how to write the program in Java, so you can take the example of this only. You can also define the class with the empty body and declare like that. The our point is comes which is next point of the class is we cannot declare abstract and final both or simultaneously with the at the class level. Abstract, final, one of इनमें से कोई एक ही हम एक बार में डिक्लेयर कर सकते हैं या हम लिख सकते हैं इन द प्रोजेक्ट ऑल्सो और द where we need that the according to requirement, right? So this is the wrong. So this is one of the point comes under the class. So declaration of Java classes. Basically, we can say how it is going to exist in Java. So first of all, we have to given the access of Java classes using any access modifier such as public, private, protected, and default, which is we can define. But the recommended way is we have to define according to requirement or the normal programming. We can take the public and default. The class name, you can take anything which is representing the noun, which is existing. That should be begin with the capital letter, which we are written there. See. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, leave it. So what I'm going to write, suppose we have a class name, right? Public. What are the restrictions which we have to follow for the class declaration of the class? Like suppose we can take any of the modifier, we will mark, don't worry. First, we need to save the things at the desktop, new folder, which is the Java session, right? Classes. Let's check the example, right? Public, which is a modifier, class, that is the keyword, and the class name. That class name in Java generally represent noun, which should begin with a capital letter without any spaces. And we can say that should be in the camel casing. Take the example of car only. Why? Because we are from the beginning, we are taking the example of car as a real-time example and in the Java context only. So this is the structure of the class, and public represents the modifier. Modifiers, and this is basically keywords. And this is name of the class. Based on business, you can also define the class name. Depends upon developer. Right. And previously I have covered the some of the points which belongs to the class, what we have to follow for the classes. And this is the these things enough for the start with the Java. So we will take slowly the session. Why? Because that is the enough for the today. And one more thing regarding the objects. So whenever we are going to create the object of the classes in the Java, so like how we are going to create objects. Basically, there are 5 ways or 4 ways, I think, in Java to creating the objects. Let's take the first one. Why? Because in the session we are covering the objects and classes. So basically, we can say uh, what is object? We know that an object is an instance of a class. Instance of a class is nothing but we are trying to instantiate the classes with the help of constructor. There will be some default constructor in the class whenever you're defining any classes. So that help us to the creating the object of the classes. So how we are instantiate with the help of the new keyword, right? So this is the structure. Car is equal to new. So you can note down we have total 5 ways or 4 ways to create an object in Java. Right. So this is the basically way we are going to create the objects in Java. This is the syntax of object creation, object of how we are going to create the objects. Right. So you can also, if you're talking about the syntax, so let's map class name. Let me expand a little bit. Oh, no problem. Right. Class name. That should be the reference variable is equal to new. That keyword helps us to create the object in Java. And the constructor with the class name. So some of the properties of a object is also there. So we will also take care of that points. What are the points and the properties of the classes basically? See, first of all, we have to map. for the fresher who is in market trying to learn the Java. It goes to map basically what is how to deal with the objects, right? So it is let me give the more space first. Sorry. Yeah, this much space is enough to map. Now this one is the class name. Okay. And this one is the reference variable. And this one is the new operator, that is the keyword. We will also mark the point for that. And this is the class name. This is the constructor. Basically, we can say the constructor and the new keyword, which is the right side. Right. Yeah. So first of all, let me have to no class name. It is all basically class name only. So I think no need to write for that. This both of this. And we have to root for this one only. Like this one is the keyword. Like new keyword. What are the rule of this? We will also that cover. And this is the constructor. So I have also note down the points. At the 7 number point is the constructor. We will cover whenever we will discuss the constructor. This is basically constructor. मैंने आपको पहले बताया था कि कंस्ट्रक्टर के हेल्प से ही हम किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट को इंस्टेंटिएट करते हैं एट द टाइम ऑफ like run time. It will be get resolved at the compile time. If you will goes to check the program signature in the dot class file, how the bytecode has been resides. Whenever you will go to decompile the dot byte class, you will check the only the signature of the class and the recommended variables and the methods inside that class, which is stored inside the dot class. Whatever the unwanted things with that class, like comment, these all things we removed at the compile time. Constructor. So with the help of new keyword, we are going to create the objects, and the constructor we will cover later, right? We have also some points covers in the case of classes, how we are going to write the classes, how many classes we can have, multiple classes we can have according to requirement. We can access with that classes. Like suppose we can in one class we will define the logic, And in another class, we will define the like suppose client code, that is the main method. If you are having the doubt, I will show you how we are going to get that. Like suppose how we are. There is one way to writing the hello world with the help of only one classes, right? So inside that class, we can also create one more class. In this package, there will be an app, right? We are going to write one of the class that is the name of hello world. I'm just taking example. How we have multiple classes, and with the help of that, we are going to access. So basic things. So suppose someone has new in this field, and he don't know how we have to access. In the first class, he don't know about the multiple classes, right? So that's why I'm taking this example. We can define here. Why? Because I have covered the classes and objects concept here, right? So suppose we have a string, right? String s is equal to, we are defining hello world here only instead of there, instead of main methods. Hello world. So I have declared here only this variable, that is the instance variable, right? So based on the class object creation, we are able to access this variable only. So now how we have to access and how we will use that this class inside the another class. Like suppose this one is the app. Uh, Multiple things, multiple way we can define this class. Someone calling it is the client code, someone is calling main method, someone is calling test code. So both are similar wherever the main method is defined. That is the main thread, main method, and the client code and the test code also. So here I remove the system.out.println things. We will define the hello world class. Hello world h is equal to new hello world, right? So now the thing is how we are going to access the variable. With the help of reference variable, I am going to access the literals value from the another class. So we have to first system.out.println is there. H dot s. So it should print. See, let's see. It got printed here. For the identification purpose, we can map like that. Me from hello world. Me from hello world class. See, so this is the story of object and classes. And the another thing is, in the agenda, we have covered up the classes, objects has been done, encapsulation, inheritance, data hiding, overriding and overloading. That is a kind of concept of polymorphism basically, and constructors. So two of concept has been done. In the another session, we will cover up the encapsulation and inheritance. Thank you.